The crypto market has went through a spectacular week where it was all bearish. The news, the sentiment, and the price action. Right now, we are observing something changing. It is trying to go back and retest this level which it broke to the downside. So for Ether, it is actually close to 1500, which we have to retest. Then you go look at Bitcoin, we'll see a probability that, okay, this is going to retest this range and it can be somewhere between 17K all the way up to 18,500. So if we manage to break that to the upside, it's all good, great. But some large cap coins do suggest us that it showed that it's going to go back, retest. And what happened after that? It got retested and rejected to the downside. It made a new low, which is a lower low. Great. So we talked about that scenario. Like there is a huge possibility it's going to go down, but before that, it can come and retest this. So if we are going to retest this in a 10% move to the upside, what does that mean for the entire ecosystem? Because you will see some assets slowly going up, even with the swell event happening and a lot of good news literally coming out. We are not observing skyrocketing price in XRP. Why is that? Right? We will discuss through that and come on to a point where we get the idea of what really is happening and how we can take benefit of this or better understand this. This is a scientific investor family where the normal retail guys learn how to become the next top 10% of the world. So now as we look at different price actions, see, this is XRP on a weekly chart where we see this. Now, why is this important? Because we do have to try and learn how things are moving with the supply and demand and how price action is impacted, right? Now, I'm not saying it's only one asset. There is a series of different assets which are right now doing this particular pattern. If it breaks to the downside, it can be negative 77%, but you're looking for your risk reward level where if it breaks to the upside, you're looking for a 350% to the upside, right? 344 to be precise. Now, the trend here, which we're observing, is that as the moving average crossed to the upside, the price slowed down. It came down. Now, the price is showing that it is close to that resistance. So a breakout is important. For XRP, for that matter, we crossed to the downside, the price went up. Great. Now, that's on a weekly. Now, you can slowly start zooming in and look like, okay, what is the possible scenario here? We crossed to the upside, we came down in price. So chances for you to see a bounce testing 0.48, 0.49 is a huge possibility. Now, that's a 3-day chart, so you can still zoom in to see what's a daily chart showing us. The daily chart here does suggest us that yes, we crossed to the downside and we did not yet get this move to the upside. So we are still waiting there to get a rally towards 0.48. Now, if the price action is actually moving towards 0.48, that will show you this monthly candle is going to close somewhere in green, which will be a great scenario because for this month to end, we do have time. And why is that important? If you are showing a positive candle close this month, this can be a continuation pattern. If not, that is signaling another consolidation period, which can be irritating. Like time is the hardest thing in investment market, and market doing this irrational things with all positive news coming in is really bad. Now, at that time, we see things like this and I'm like, yeah, ISO20022 is actually a great thing for the entire payments ecosystem. It's going to be a lot of different assets coming into the play, that's for sure, and it's going to be great for XRP too. But it's not only XRP, right? So saying XRP is going to reach $10,000, $50,000 for just this matter, I don't understand, because when you go into these articles which actually give you the idea of saying that bank is migrating to XRP standard, what happens is when you go down, they talk about ISO20022, and that's where that bank is migrating. Now, we all know this is coming and we all understand what it is. It's not XRP standard. It is the ISO standard, which they have been planning from some time, and it's there from some time. Great. But on the positive side, we really see adoption and we really see real use case in the life coming out and people talking about this. And especially for this one, I'm really interested because this is high value assets, real estate market. We have already seen XRP Ledger being used to do that in, I think, Colombia or Cambodia. And that means it is working for them. And right now we are observing this being talked about in London. So this can slowly get into other countries as well. So the network effect is going to be huge. Then we come on here and look at this one showing, okay, XRP Ledger is actually positioned for central bank digital currencies. And then we go back here. In one of our video, we really talked about this in detail because for me, it was really clear that all the CBDCs, or at least 90% of them, are going to be touching XRP Ledger at one point for sure. And most of them are going to directly use Interledger protocol, and things are evolving really quickly. Because as we talked about last time, if you go look at ISO20022 and check their website, you will actually see like, okay, a lot of different things are happening. But if you are really focusing on who is there in the approving members, we talked about that in yesterday's video. You will see Ripple there. You will see Moja Loop Foundation there, which again goes back to this particular video. Almost everything is connected to the Gates and Bill Gates and Moja Loop, then XRP Ledger, Interledger protocol. That's something which is mind-boggling, right? The entire payment industry is going to come and do this. And that's why when you see adoption and not price action, it's a lot confusing because people like this, I really don't understand why they go completely negative on an asset where they say they have zero knowledge about this asset. And I'm like, okay, that's your knowledge issue. If you even spend 10 minutes on the internet trying to understand what this asset solves as a problem which exists in the market, now for them, it may not be a big problem. Say, if they are sending $1,000 outside the nation and they can pay $100 and they're like, I'm fine with that, it's okay because they don't need the money then and there. But for a normal guy who is looking for this, it is really not. If you consider any engineer, doctor, or anyone working outside their country, getting their salary, sending back to support their family, they really don't want to spend too much and wait too long. That's why these kind of technologies coming out and they are working for people and they are going to scale. We are already observing a lot of different companies scaling, and those who are already using XRP Ledger are reiterating this. Even if we are starting again, we will only use XRP Ledger. That's going to be the best option for them, right? Now, one of the reasons why we are being slowed down, it's now so clear why this is happening, right? If you listen to them, they are like, okay, we all work together. Now, it's like literally, you don't even have to read between lines. They themselves are coming out and stating this in front of the media. And the media is like, okay, that's great. Because at any other scenario when they actually talk about Enron, and I saw like Kramer was comparing XRP to Enron in that narrative. I'm like, this is not really great. This is an asset which is solving real life problem around the globe. Central banks are using this for pilot test and some of them are adopting it, which does mean there is a use case which it solves, which it is serving a lot of different clients. But these guys have a hard time understanding that. And it won't change over a day for sure. That is 100% sure. But what a lot of us consider is like, yes, this is a strong investment, but we all want the price to move. That's why we are in here. We're not in for the technology, but we are in here as an investor. And as an investor, we are looking for a strong asset which may not go down 90%. If it shows you 10% probability that it can really go that low, it's going to be really bad. Say people do say like, macro guys like even Raul, who I really admire, suggest this is going to go way higher. But when I personally look at this, I'm like, okay, that doesn't look really good for me. Yeah, this can go back up, retest this range, and then most likely it may get rejected all the way down, right? We don't know where the exact bottom is going to be. Even though this is the measured move, I'll say, okay, maybe 90, maybe 80, but still you're looking for a lower price point, right? Not at this range, because the selling pressure should be enormous because we have seen this particular pattern in a lot of different assets and they all dropped. Now we have seen the opposite of this same structure and the price went up. So if we say this is not different this time, we will go back to the history to learn stuff. And at that time, that is where you need to appreciate how XRP is standing. Yes, this is painful 1,000 days watching. Even if you bought XRP close to the bottom, say 0.15, 0.18 range, you're just around double, 100% in profit. When the market, the entire altcoin market went up so much, and even after the drop, if you go into the market and look at the market, you will say like, okay, I missed a lot in opportunity. Great, I agree. If you are one of that guys who actually entered here in 2020, remember that, that's the key point, 2020, and you see the market right now, 4x, that's good. But not all assets are doing this. Say fundamental assets, you go look at XRP or XLM, HBAR, you can look at a lot of different assets. And they are not all showing you, even if you weigh, they during that crash took benefit of that, you are now close to 100%. So it's not only XRP, the fundamental assets are doing the same. That's how the market is working right now. Great. So if you happen to enter the market after this, now the question changes. Your average is somewhere here. It's not similar to those guys who bought in here. That's a huge difference. Great. Whereas we also have seen assets like this, where, I personally remember talking about this, saying, okay, there's going to be two resistance here. One, this channel, and then this long-term resistance. So if the price is going to come here and get rejected, that's going to be bad. And if we observe this, you can see how things evolve. That's a double top, which rejected the price, and the price is here right now. Now, there is a possibility it can make a double bottom. It's trying to do that, I agree. But if you look at other assets, they were doing fine, right? There are other fundamental assets which are doing exceptionally well. We'll have to agree on that, but even though it's kind of a competitor for XRP with Overledger and their payment messaging and all, I agree on that front. But they're doing fine. Even if you look at the entire space, you're like, okay, March 2020, it was kind of $2. Even if you missed the bottom, you had time to buy close to $5 to $10, and right now you're 10x. These are like very rare opportunities. Now, we had calls here below $10 saying this is going to be a great run. Now, yes, we also called out profits early, saying around 300. I'm taking profits, get out. But what happened is price went 430. Getting the absolute top and bottom is going to be really hard. Going back to XRP, this is the important step. Here, the level of patience you need is super critical. Last time it was like 1,300 days before you literally blew up. Now, if that's 1,300 days and the price action going up, you just measure this one and say like, okay, that was a 700x. Great. Why am I bringing that one up? You go look at a lot of different assets. Say this is Chili's, which I showed you earlier. Now, here, look at the number of days it consolidated before it broke higher, and then measure the ROI after that breakout. So here you see around 578 days, and then it went up 57x. Here you actually see 700x after 1,300 days. So now we are getting so close towards 1,000 days. So the ROI to the upside when we break higher is massive. And that's what I'm waiting for. If I've already waited till this long, I have the patience to wait more. Because when this happens, I don't want to be that guy who exits the market here with a little bit of gain, and then the market goes higher. We all have experienced this. You're entering a trade, exiting a trade, the market goes the opposite direction, right? So if it was for a little bit more patience, it's good, it's great. So every asset you are in right now, you should be aware of its macro scenario. Otherwise, it's going to be hurting. Now, you see a trend, it's holding, it's great. Now, one of the other issue which I see in the market is, say, for example, this is a great asset. It's trending higher, all good, all great. But when it comes to the altcoin market as a whole, not a lot of people will agree that we are trending higher. But in fact, it is. If you observe without much of, you don't need too much expertise for this. You're just trying to connect all these bottoms and extend this. And you're like, okay, somehow we are still trending higher. But what's the issue here? If your time horizon is too low, if you are looking the market for like 1 year, it's bad. If you're looking at the market for like 2 years, close to that, it's bad. If it was 3 years, now it's okay. It's starting to turn green. Great. Fine. Now, if it was even another year back, it was all the same. So you can actually get this sense like those who wait here for that 2 years, it was really painful. But if they had waited for another year, which makes sense, like they waited for 2 years and next 1 year actually brought them the upside, slowly taking profits as we go up, right? That is the same thing which is happening for the market. Now you go into the market, you are looking at things to understand why you should be cautiously aggressive, because not going completely aggressive, right? Cautiously aggressive, because there are assets which are breaking to the downside and which are showing worse signals, great? Now you come back here, you look at this. You're getting your 20-day moving average, which is the green, crossing the 50, which is the blue, to the upside here, and the price come back down. You see that? And the next time when you do that is when the price actually starts to go back up. So you will get a short-term rally, which can be a potential retest of this level, and slow down, come back down. That is again a big possibility, which again means you may see the market move a little bit higher, maybe 100%, 200%, but not a big run on the weekly, right? Otherwise, when we are retesting this, we need to break through this range, which actually goes back to the historical level here. But the big difference here is that we are right now below both the moving averages 20 and 50, only 200-day moving averages acting as a support. Right now here, we only have 200-day moving average acting as a support. Great. So if we look at the general trend, you will then go back to Bitcoin, saying like, okay, if that's the case, what do we see in Bitcoin? Now, this is not the actual trend in Bitcoin, clearly. And if you observe this, you will say, okay, there is something negative happening, right? But then you have to actually go back to the Bitcoin chart, which is like, long-term chart. This will be somewhere here in Coin Paprika, but it is API is not clear. It hasn't updated the recent price action, but you still can see all the way from 2010, which is helpful. Fine. Now you actually try to connect all these bottoms just to get an idea of what the market is trying to do. Great. So you can literally come here, try to connect all these bottoms, and you see the price going up. Fine. Now, is it close to the bottom? No, it is not. Great. It has downside. It can come back down. Fine. Now, this is because here we are not getting the recent price action. So if you put this line correctly, when we don't have this price action, remember, this is Coin Paprika chart, but they haven't updated this. This is all way back to April, right? So we imagine that close to 15,000. And if it's November, we are somewhere close to 16,500, right? That's where the actual bottom is. That's what we would say back then. Right now, when you are close to 16,500, the issue in the market is people are saying about 10,000. That's like here. Great. And if it takes another month, it's here. So you will have to say like, okay, people saying way below that is going to be really hard, because this is the trend which you observe in the market. You don't have to listen to a lot of people. You're just sitting there trying to connect all these stops to see what can be the next upside. So if you are here right now, most likely what you're going to observe is an upside. And where can that go? Close to 100,000 or just above that. I'm not looking for, 100,000 Bitcoin or 500,000 Bitcoin. I would be looking for like 90 to 95, which is like the safe exit range. Now, there can be blow-offs. But what we have to understand is when the market is moving inside this pattern, generally speaking, it's becoming bearish. So if you break to the downside here, that's worse. But if we follow the history and say this asset has been following this trend line pattern for a long time, last 10 years kind of, then we are observing a bounce here. Now go back into the real-time chart of Bitcoin and try to actually plot the same idea here. We're coming somewhere from the downside. We're trying to get all these bottoms connected, and we were saying somewhere close to 15,000 was the bottom. Say this is what we are looking at. Say 16,000 is the bottom. We are now actually close to that level. If we see, we are trying to connect all these. Great. So when we bounce, it will be something of interest. But then again, we also talked about one scenario where if we break to the downside here, that is going to be bad. So this is the price action now with all these panic. But imagine you were here where you really don't know where the price is actually going. That's where these kind of charts really help you. You go back in history and you're looking at what this asset has shown in time. So if we were here and you're plotting this one, you are already saying, okay, there is a probability that the price may come towards 16,000. Great. Now we are there. So saying another 10,000 drop or 6,000 drop, the odds may not be on your side. So be cautious in this market and look for assets which are breaking through long-term supports and which are really bad, right? It can come back, but it's better to look for assets which are holding for supports. And that's what we are doing in the Patreon. We're trying to go through that. And if you liked to have a look at that, you can check the Patreon link. It's given in the description below. So if you received value, please do hit that like and subscribe button. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.